It seems almost like a cliche thing to me, like, because I've tried a lot of things and like it doesn't always work out.
That's just like, that's one of those things, like when you're a parent, you want to tell your kids that to ensure hope in them.
Yeah.
And still,
It's like I like the hope and belief that he has, but it doesn't feel super like realistic to me. And it's sort of funny to me because like in the same like throughout the story, there's like a contrast between him and his dad because like he goes through and like learns how to build his windmill and then he goes on to have like huge success and is like becomes famous. He goes like a TED Global Conference and it, like travels America and stuff. All these like famous powerful people are helping him. Then like his dad, he like when he goes through and describes his dad as a young man, he's like super powerful, like the strongest man there. And so like there's one time he went to like a concert of his favorite guy, and I don't think he had gotten a ticket because like he had a ticket, but the line was so long they wouldn't let anybody else in.
Page 29.
And so then like he's dancing, having a good time in the middle, and then the actual singer like calls him out. It's like, get this dude out of here, like disturbing the peace or something like that. I think it was the singer, and so he's like, then his dad says, "Mr. Fubalati, I only wish to dance in peace, but since you've asked these men to remove me, I say let them come." And, like, describes it as like the police like swooped in, and his dad just like goes like beating them all up. Like, eventually he gets tired and lets them arrest him, but like. He's like this super strong guy, but then like later.
so the son isn't like that, right?
No, the son's like he said like I don't know if this relates, but he said like he was like really bad at soccer, like not super coordinated and stuff. So I don't think I think he looks sort of tall in some of the pictures, but I don't think he's like super athletic or anything.
In some ways, that reminds me of the Kite Runner with like Baba and Amir.
Yeah,
It's like Baba is like
That's
this
true.
big guy and like
Yeah.
and like he's so he's praised so much in their society, and
Yeah.
Amir's just like
Yeah, it's sort of the same, like, 'cause,
Strong.
like, eventually Baba grows weak and, like, dies with the sickness, and in this story, so, like, then when the famine comes and they're struggling with poverty, and then, like, the famine they're coming out of the famine and they're able to sell some tobacco again, but they still don't have enough to send William back to school.
Page 173.
He says, like, at least with daughters like my sister Annie, a father can hope they'll marry a husband who can provide a home and food, even help them continue their schooling. But with a boy, it's different. My education meant everything to my father. That night, he told my mother he'd failed his only son. Today, he said, I'm a failure to my whole family. And so it's like, he's like this huge, strong guy, but eventually, like, there's something that he can't do also, so.
yeah, like everyone has a
Yeah, so, like,
weakness.
like I get like Williams saying like if you dream it you can do it to an extent, but I feel like it's like certain dreams and it has to match with your talent.
Yeah, like
And,
there's even though people may say that there's nothing you can't do, there's gonna be a point where you can't do anything
yeah,
more.
like we're not gonna be NBA stars.
Yeah, yeah.
I wish, but
If we worked harder. And we're like 6 inches taller. You know?
yeah, yeah, but yeah, the end. Cool. Something better to say, but I can't think of it.
So what we both realized was that while our books don't have much in common, the one common theme they have is they both compare science to something else. So for example, this book compares The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. Compares science to heart and emotion, while Andy's compares...
It's like magic versus science. So like he starts off the story saying, page 1, remembering to cite.
Yeah.
Before I discovered the miracles of science, magic ruled the world. And it's like magic is huge in Malawi. Like that's it. Like it's a bit more of a backward place. Like he says that himself. That's another place where he's like criticizing Africa instead of other people, like himself, sort of. That like he says like that's the one annoying thing. Like we're such like backward people, like blaming stuff on magic, where they'll blame like innocent people for stuff, like sort of like witch hunt type stuff. But yeah, that was on page 230. He says, a catastrophe had been avoided, but still it revealed the kind of backwardsness in our people that really frustrates me. So, dang, I just had like a brain fart and everything just left my mind. Magic versus science.
So basically, like, both of our books are saying that, like, while science may be an exact study, like, all about exact things, like, it's not always, like, it's always correct, but it's not the only thing that everything is based on.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think William actually tries to take the opposite view. Like, he views science as, like, the thing that can save his people from, like, the darkness of magic and, like, blaming everything on magic.
And more, this is, like, blaming science for, like, creating a misconception of people
Yeah.
and stuff.
So,
So it's, like,
I think
taking
that
two
represents,
different
like, stuff in the world where, like, you can't take one extreme. Like,
No,
it's like
you need a good balance. Balance!
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, science is good. And it can help people.
But
like,
it's good with the other characteristics too, like
Yeah.
having heart, having faith, like reality, like knowing the real
you
things.
can't just, like, depend on science for everything. You need to have human connection.
It's like love.
Face-to-face
Like you
love.
can't just like figure out like, oh, to my calculations and the studies that I've done, like I should be able to date this girl or
Yeah, like when they
stuff
give like the
that.
chances of like finding your one true love, like that's so stupid. Like
No, just be you. That's all you gotta
what
do.
if you have two true loves. Like what do you do then?
Alright, that's for another video. So, like another part of this book, The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat, I didn't really like was a lot of the clinical stories had to do with people who struggled from memory loss. Like for example, in chapter 2, it was a story of a dude or a man who basically forgot anything he said less than 20 seconds after it happened. So he left the doctor's office, Dr. Sack's office, and he left like to go to the bathroom. And when he came back, he asked him, he was like, "Oh, who are you? Like, why are you in this room?" And the doctor was like, "We've had an appointment. Like, I introduced myself." And he was like, "No, I don't think you did. Like, I would remember that beard from anywhere." And like that's a more like comical point of it. But then like later on in chapter 19 on page 169, it's talking about a guy who murdered his daughter while under the influence of PCP, and after that he just had no memory of it. Like he literally murdered someone very close to him, and he has no, like, he doesn't remember it at all. And I feel like that's even worse in some points than remembering killing someone, because it's more like you're being told by everyone that you did this horrible thing, but you can't remember that you did it yourself. And I don't know, that just bothers me a lot.
Yeah.
But I understand why it's in this book and the meaning it had. It's just, I don't find that, like, I don't know, that made me very sad when I read that.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's like so much sad stuff. Like, well, like, that was like the same thing that I didn't like in my book. Like when he was describing the famine, it took like several chapters. It was like so bad. Like it was like one of those things where, like you're like, man, like this is awful. Like it can't get any worse. And then like the next chapter starts, and then he's like, and then the famine got worse. It's like, how does that even happen? Like you guys already seem sick enough, and like his mom gets malaria and stuff. But probably the worst part is what makes this book able to fit in with 10th grade English, in that a dog dies. Like he has this dog. He doesn't like the dog at first, but his uncle brings a dog, and the dog follows him everywhere. But then like, I'm not even gonna describe it, but like the dog basically starves to death, and it's like really disturbing. So yeah, I feel like that is the problem with school right now, is that we learn way too much sad stuff. Let us have some joy too.
Here's the thing though, like, I feel like there is no true story that can be a story without something bad happening. Unless it's not like a Disney show where everything is always right, where everything always goes well. Like, there is bad stuff that, it's reality.
I know, but like, it doesn't need to be that disturbing, that sad. And in school, I feel like we're just bombarded with sad stuff. Every class. It actually depends on your schedule in the year, but this year, it's like every class.
That actually...
It's like, boom, 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 and I'm like, stop, like...
Yeah, like last year in world history, it was like we had this whole unit just set on the craziest people in history, basically. Like we learned about people who serial killer who would skin off the people's faces that they would kill
Why did you have to
and
say
keep them
that?
in his house. Like, I don't get why we have to learn this stuff. Like, it makes people feel uncomfortable. But
Yes.
in literature, I understand it, and like it happens.
At
It doesn't like
times, it doesn't have to be that disturbing. Like Kite Runner,
Yeah.
what is the problem with that? Like,
it was sad. It was sad,
especially
but
when you don't know if it's fiction or not. Like, what the heck?
yeah.
Like actually, I don't know
Honestly,
either.
I don't know either. But I liked it. It was a good
see
story.
the point in sadness, but we are bombarded with way too many disturbing stuff.
Yeah, let's fix that for the future. While we basically covered all the points that we were asked to, I wanted to show an interesting chapter 24, called The Autist Artist, and it starts on page 225. So, like I said this whole time, like, everyone in this story has been presented more positively than they are in society because of their illnesses or disabilities and stuff. This specific chapter is about a kid with autism who, his name is Jose, and while he has autism, he is like an amazing artist. So this actually has some images. Dr. P asked him to draw a clock, and this is the clock that he was asked to draw. And this one on the right is the one that he actually drew. And I just find it amazing how someone who can be presented as having like issues truly does not have that many issues besides like having trouble in social environments. And
That one.
no, he drew this one. And while it may not look perfect, like that's better than I can do. And I'm just very amazed, and I found that really interesting.
I read stuff about how like people with autism a lot of times are very detail oriented. So like a lot of the special effects in like the Marvel movies and stuff, they have people with autism like doing this because they're actually
Yeah.
better at it than a lot of normal people because they're so detail oriented.
Here's another one. It was a picture of a guy boating on a lake, and this one on the right is the one, or maybe it's not your right, but this side is the one that he drew, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's very detail oriented. Besides like the color schemes and stuff, I just find that very interesting. So
And that's like going back to the main idea of the book where like it's like a different way of looking at like a problem.
yeah. Oh, by the way, that picture was on pages 228 and 229. So,
Get those page numbers. This is Andy.
and this is Braden, and you're watching Disney Channel.
Dun 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 dun. Woo!